At 4ZZZ, we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we broadcast. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging of the Turrbal and Jagera people. We acknowledge that their sovereignty over this land was never ceded.
And we stand in solidarity with them.
You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ, amplifying the trans and gender non-conforming voices of Brisbane and beyond.
Hi Z's, you're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez, I use he, him pronouns. Yeah, Transmission, all about amplifying the voices of the trans and gender non-conforming community of Meanjin and beyond. And today we've got a special episode. I have two wonderful guests in the studio, Amy Sargeant and Arianna Nixon, who are directors of this incredible event that's on this weekend at Wreckers Artspace called Climate of Violence. So we'll be talking about that today, which is super exciting. I was going to read out some more news about the event, but I'm going to leave that for when we have a chat. But there is something else events-wise that is coming up that's super exciting, is Radiothon. I'm going to push this button on this thing.
Barry, what's that sound?
It's the sound of excitement building for 4ZZZ's Radiothon.
What's Radiothon?
It's 4ZZZ's annual subscriber drive, where we raise funds to keep the station you love on air.
Oh, cool. When is it?
August 11th to 20th. So get ready to support, subscribe, and win prizes.
That's right. Get ready to support and win prizes. August 11th to August 20th, Radiothon. You will not hear us shut up about it. That means the only way to stop us talking will be to subscribe. But, that's not for a little bit yet. Another week or so. So, yeah, Radiothon, get ready to support community radio. Trust me, it's, it seriously is the time of the year that if you don't support us and we don't get enough, we might not be on air. So come on, help us out. Radiothon, that's what it's all about. That's something, that's an event that's coming up that you should be mindful of. August 11th, get ready, get your card out, whatever, however you're going to pay. Do it, get it, get on it. Anyway, we're going to move into some community news. I moved too many words too quickly then. This one here, so over 100 trans men enter the Miss Italy pageant after organizer says only women from birth are allowed, which is amazing. After the organizer of Miss Italy beauty pageant declared that trans women are excluded from the competition because contestants should be, in quotations, women from birth, over 100 trans men decided to boycott by entering the contest. An Italian trans activist, Elia Bocci, says, "I took courage, used my dead name, and signed up for Miss Italy. Because fighting transphobia is intersectional, and even though I'm not a trans woman, I've decided to fight for their rights." He also said, "Miss Italy is not just a beauty contest, but it is part of the country's cultural history, and excluding trans women automatically means excluding them from history and pretending they don't exist." So, yeah, thank you to all the Italian trans guys out there who are entering the Miss Italy beauty pageant. I hope one of you win. Big love to all those men out there who are boycotting Miss Italy. That made my morning. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. Anywho, you're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns. And I'm in studio with
Amy Sargeant, she, her.
And Arianna Nixon, she, her.
This is exactly how I want to start my Tuesday.
The party started.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got you both in studio today because you have an event coming up this weekend that just looks absolutely amazing. I'm so stoked. I'm so excited to go. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so we have a performance happening at Wreckers Artspace, which is in Wollongabba. It's just around the corner from the Cave Inn, which 4ZZZ people might know.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And it's a audio-visual contemporary art performance combining live sound art and live video and visuals. And it's, performed by Ari and I. So I'm doing the sound and Ari's doing the visuals. And it's called Climate of Violence.
Yeah, it looks amazing. And I'm guessing, is this a heavy exhibit?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, it is Not for kids, I might say.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very intense, very confronting work about the work that needs to be done and the things that need to be said about the current climate of violence that trans people face.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
all around the world, but, you know, a lot of it's very localized and in tune to our experiences. And yeah, so don't come if you think it's if you're looking for something all, oh yeah, happy
Trans
Yeah.
joy.
No, it will be fun and
It'll be
lovely,
fun.
and it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
But the work itself does not shy away from the intensity of the experiences that trans people face. But I think it's important to do that. You know, I mean, I guess in a way, we're making the work that we wish already existed, that we wish already spoke to the conditions that exist out in the world. So do come. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there with bells on. Hopefully not too loud bells, disturb the sound.
Yeah, but percussive edition.
Bells without the little thing in the middle. So how long have you been working on this project?
We've been working on it for about 6 months. However, Ari and I have been collaborating on visuals and sound together for longer than that. Ari has developed a kind of a cool, innovative way to do live video, analog glitching, in a live setting. Normally, that kind of analog glitching video editing, you think of that as being something that happens behind a computer desk at a home, whereas Ari has, and maybe you can speak to it, Ari, but has turned it into a live performance tool.
Yeah, it's basically like if you hit a VHS player with a hammer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
But a bit more calculated and artful than that. But yeah, it was a process of collecting lots of little different modular pieces to create basically, you know, like how guitarists have a pedal board often to do effects on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, but for video.
Wow, okay.
So I've created a weird video glitch art system so I can do live visuals with Amy's live performance.
Wow, that's really cool. And you've got 2 times, right? So there's the 7:30 time and then the 8:30 time.
Yes, so Saturday night at Wreckers Artspace, once we're doing it at 7:30 and then the second time around 8:30. The reason for that is because the space, Wreckers Artspace, is not a big space. Maybe some people listening have been there before. It's not much
Intimate.
bigger than this 4ZZZ studio we are in right now. And so like a few meters by a few meters, White Cube Gallery Art Space. And because of that, you know, you can only fit so many people in. So we thought, why don't we do it twice? And I mean, that might be interesting too, because the second time might be a bit different, might be a bit more intense, because it is a planned, sequenced performance with acts that we have developed and phases that it goes through to reach a conclusion that says something which hopefully will get people a little bit teary. But the actual performing of it is very improvisational, very kind of video, sound, jazz. So yeah, it might be different.
I like doing it that
so
way.
come see both times if you want.
Stick around for the whole thing.
jazz.
Yeah. I do like jazz. Excellent. So, okay, so you've got possibly 2 different feelings that'll come out of the 2 different times. And I guess this is also because you both have a history of activism as loud and proud trans activists. How is that feeding into this work? Are they synonymous? How does this work for you?
Absolutely. Our activism informs our work and vice versa. I feel like it's one thing to say what you say, it's another thing to do it as well. And if we didn't do the activism we do, we might not know as much as we do about the climate of violence that trans people currently face. And I just think it gives us a unique perspective in art making and vice versa. Like, we can take these feelings, this work, this very cathartic experience of creating artwork and apply it to our activism directly, or just by helping us process these things and be better activists. I think it's, for us, really intrinsic to what we do.
Yeah, on top of that, you know, I think if you're looking to change things out in the world, if you're looking to make stuff better for trans and gender diverse people, there are various ways to go about that. One of those ways is like, signing petitions or organising or marching down the street and yelling. But I don't think any of those things in isolation will change everything. You know, you're not going to change everyone's minds magically like that just by walking down the street and yelling. However, all of those individual things are important, and one of those things is art making and representation through art. And I think art has the capacity, especially big experiential, immersive, live video, sound experiences, have the capacity to touch people and communicate ideas that you can't put into words necessarily. You can't get by speaking through a megaphone. So it is activism, it is art working on another level, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of have similar experiences, like radio is kind of an art form and it is a megaphone.
Exactly. Yeah, right? Perfect. Yes. Yeah, she said that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, and a big part of that megaphone is getting you, listeners, out there to head to Wreckers Artspace so Saturday, August 5th from 7:30. And so there's one at 7:30 and then one at 8:30. It's completely free.
Yeah.
So come on down. Climate of Violence. I'm really, really, really keen. And I'm hoping that this is, like you said, this is something that can showcase other aspects of our community and I guess parts of our suffering as well, right?
Yes,
there's elements of that.
Yeah.
And as much as like Transmission loves to showcase trans joy, we're still very, very marginalized. And coming in here every week, and thank you so much, both of you, Arianna and Amy, for coming in and sharing in this megaphone.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you so much. And thank you
really
for doing this show.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking when you're chatting about how VHS and you're like kind of smashing it or something, the 4ZZZ Radiothon theme for this year is Radio Against the Machine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll be smashing some VHS as well. Anyway, thank you so much for coming in. And I know you've got uni, right?
Yeah, I'm teaching. Teaching photo media. So if you're listening, get to photo media class. Come on.
This is your warning, students. Amy's about to hop in the Uber.
She's cracking her knuckles right now.
Amplifying the voices of the trans and gender non-conforming community of Meanjin, Brisbane and beyond.
Transmission on 4ZZZ brings you the latest in trans community news, music and events.
Every Tuesday from 9am till 10am.
Join our team of hosts for an hour of celebrating the unique perspectives of the trans community.
Transmission, Tuesday mornings from 9am till 10am on 4ZZZ. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns. And just before we were chatting about Climate of Violence, which is an event happening at Wreckers Artspace this Saturday, 7:30, one show at 7:30 and one at 8:30, completely free. Go down and support Amy and Arianna. It's looking cool. It's just me in the studio today, and I was thinking, gosh, what do we talk about? And then I thought, well, I was just so elated last night to see the Matildas absolutely wallop Canada in the FIFA Women's World Cup. And everyone seems to have a bit of football fever, even if you're not into, I'm going to say soccer, and I'm only going to say it that once. If you're into football, yay, this is your time. The Socceroos never quite reached quite this standing, nor could they keep up with the wrath of a lot of European men's teams. But our Australian team, our Australian women's team, the Matildas, are doing a phenomenal job. And you might be wondering, what the heck has this got to do, Ez, with trans community and trans stuff? Well, you know, sport and trans people seems to be a hot topic, so we're going to get into this a little bit. First of all, Canada, I'm really sad that they're out of this World Cup after this group stage, mostly because of the thrashing they received last night, but also the unexpected power of Nigeria. And interestingly, Canada have the very first openly trans player, Quinn. That is their name. They identify as a queer person, and they have, they use they, them pronouns as well, and they're the first non-binary player to play in a World Cup. That is out and we're aware of course. So a huge congratulations to Quinn for representing a community and not just their nation. So tragic that they're out. That's a bit sad, but you know, there's trans representation everywhere. And something else that's pretty cool, back earlier this year on Trans Day of Visibility on March 31st, there was actually a trans soccer team that made history in the UK. Arthur Webber made history this year on a rainy day on March 31st. He captained what he says is the first ever all-trans mask soccer team in Europe, which players stepped out onto the pitch in blue and pink patterned kits, the same colours as the trans flag, of course. Transmasculine is a term used for people that when they are assigned female at birth whose gender identity or expression is both or is just masculine. It's an umbrella definition. So, yeah, and it also encompasses non-binary and gender-fluid people. If you get an opportunity to just have a Google of this trans UK soccer team, their outfits are so cool. I'm not sure if I'd mentioned it on Transmission before, but there are definitely avenues for trans people to play. And I'm actually looking into a bit of the research, did a bit of sleuthing about Football Australia and see what they've got. But Football Australia has initiated the process to develop a transgender and gender diverse high-performance inclusion policy. So Football Australia it prides itself on being multicultural, diverse and inclusive. So they say here they are committed to living its values and in doing so creating environments where people of all experiences and identities, regardless of background, race, sexuality or gender identity, feel welcome and encouraged to participate in the world game. To support the inclusion of trans and gender diverse people in football, Football Australia has initiated the development process for a high-performance inclusion policy, specifically balancing the needs and inclusion of transgender and gender diverse people in the sport, whilst ensuring we maintain the integrity of elite competitive football. As part of the policy development process, Football Australia has progressed planning and established a football working group, FWG, responsible for crafting the policy and making recommendations for Football Australia approval prior to the FIFA Women's World Cup Australia and New Zealand 2023. So, yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, Football Australia will be adopting the Australian Human Rights Commission guidelines for the inclusion of transgender and gender-diverse people in sport to develop football's own fit-for-purpose community guidelines. So, yeah, and you can, if you want to know, and you're a trans person who'd like to play football, you can head to footballaustralia.com.au and you can read more on this policy, and you can also check out the Australian Human Rights Commission guidelines. There is a link there. You can check it all out. Sport should be for everyone, regardless of gender, sexuality, race. Exactly. There was once a time where, if you were of color, particularly in Latin America, black players had harder times playing for their national team. You can learn all about that if you know much about Pelé. He played for Brazil. He had a rough time, especially when he came to Europe and played for the World Cup, and the absolute abhorrent behavior around him and how they treated him. And yet he still outshone them all and is arguably the greatest football player that ever lived. So there you go. Take that. We're going to listen to some more music. And I had a text in with a song request. I would love to fulfill your song request. However, you are not a subscriber. And subscribers get the benefits of making song requests. So if you would like to make a song request, you should subscribe. 4ZZ.org.au/support. Obviously, select the subscription package that suits you best, whether you be a full subscription, which is $70, passionate, $130, concession, $35, yeah, there's out there. If you're under 18, it's $20, super sub, $500, you get your name on a wall, you're immortalized on the wall of Zed here forever. And you can also be a solo artist or a band. Solo artist is $80, band is $155. If you're a group or a business, community group or business, it's $150, households $300. And your pets even get to join in, $20 for a pet. And then your pet can text in song requests. Why not? But you do have to be a subscriber. So yeah, 4ZZ.org.au/support. Well, we've come to the end of transmission, actually. So there isn't really much else to chat to you about, other than, if you were listening earlier, I was chatting to Amy Sargeant and Arianna Nixon, who are... both of them are visual artists, musicians, and trans justice advocates. They both work on some incredible art installations. This Saturday, August 5th, at 7:30 p.m. and at 8:30 p.m. It's completely free at Wreckers Artspace. Go check out Climate of Violence. Amy Sargeant, through installations of sculptures, audio and video, Amy's work responds to her disillusionment with the dysfunctions of the Australian political establishment by reframing the elements of political spectacle. Amy deploys the Situationist method of détournement to destabilize motifs from mainstream politics, activist iconography, symbols, and visual cultures. And Arianna Nixon is an emerging artist from Meanjin whose work explores gender and cultural dissonance. Her work reflects on notions of escapism and dialectical materialism in relation to queer and trans struggles expressed via proprietary analog video techniques. Nixon's practice draws on the work of postmodern video artists of the 70s and 80s and the impressionists of the century preceding. So yeah, this is going to be something, it's probably going to be heavy, so be prepared. If you're not up for something heavy, still come anyway, because, you know, come hug us who are experiencing the sadness if you don't want to go in. But come along, and yeah, be prepared. Not everything that's happening out there is great for trans people, if you haven't noticed, but this should be something that will make you feel things and make you think about things. So yeah, Wreckers Artspace, either at 7:30 or at 8:30 p.m. this Saturday. Yeah, Climate of Violence. You've been listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye!
Thank you so much for listening to Transmission. See you next Tuesday, 9 to 10 a.m. on 4ZZZ.